Lesson 67. Love created me like itself. Today's idea is a complete and accurate statement of what you are. This is why you are the light of the world. This is why God appointed you as the world's Savior. This is why the Son of God looks to you for His salvation. He is saved by what you are. We will make every effort today to reach this truth about you and to realize fully, if only for a moment, that it is the truth. In the longer practice period, we will think about your reality and its wholly unchanged and unchangeable nature. We will begin by repeating this truth about you and then spend a few minutes adding some relevant thoughts, such as, holiness created me holy. Kindness created me kind. Helpfulness created me helpful. Perfection created me perfect. Any attribute which is in accord with God as He defines Himself is appropriate for use. We are trying today to undo your definition of God and replace it with His own. We are also trying to emphasize that you are part of His definition of Himself. After you have gone over several such related thoughts, try to let all thoughts drop away for a brief preparatory interval, and then try to reach past all your images and preconceptions about yourself to the truth in you. If love created you like itself, this self must be in you, and somewhere in your mind, it is there for you to find. You may find it necessary to repeat the idea for today from time to time to replace distracting thoughts. You may also find that this is not sufficient and that you need to continue adding other thoughts related to the truth about yourself. Yet perhaps you will succeed in going past that and through the interval of thoughtlessness to the awareness of a blazing light in which you recognize yourself as love created you. Be confident that you will do much today to bring that awareness nearer, whether you feel you have succeeded or not. It will be particularly helpful today to practice the idea for the day as often as you can. You need to hear the truth about yourself as frequently as possible because your mind is so preoccupied with false self-images. 4 or 5 times an hour, and perhaps even more. It would be most beneficial to remind yourself that love created you like itself. Hear the truth about yourself in this. Try to realize in the shorter practice periods that this is not your tiny solitary voice that tells you this. This is a voice for God, reminding you of your Father and of yourself. This is the voice of truth, replacing everything that the ego tells you about yourself with the simple truth about the Son of God. You were created by love like itself. Love created me like itself. Okay, so yesterday and in the last lesson we talked about how God created you like Him. He cannot create anything different from Him because He is all that there is. And so He created you to be a creator. That is your function, to create, to extend love, to express love. Love created me like itself. This talks about any attribute which is in accord with God as He defines Himself. Any factor, any attribute, any gift of God, any trait that is of God is also inherently within you because He created you like Himself. Holiness created me holy. Kindness created me kind. Helpfulness created me helpful. Perfection created me perfect. Anything that is loving is who and what you are. One of the things I appreciate and love about A Course in Miracles and the way that the curriculum is outlined, the way that the text is set up, is that it is a spiraling curriculum that while it seems like, it's a big book, there's a lot of pages, there's all these lessons, why is there almost 700 pages of theoretical material if it's so simple? Because as this lesson says, you need to hear the truth about yourself as frequently as possible, because your mind is so preoccupied with what is not the reality of who you are, with false self-images. So here in the world, the ego is that constant chatter we talked about yesterday, the misguidance of the ego. You can listen to the insanity of the ego, or you can hear the truth. And it is so hard to cut through that noise, because that has momentum. The world of form, the world of separation, was set up to perpetuate that false self-image, that false identification, the misguided misidentification of who you are. Because if you were to remember who you are, if you were to remember the truth about yourself, you would stop listening to that incessant chatter of the ego. You would no longer be distracted. You would no longer dissociate. You would remember I am as God created me. God, love created me like itself. I have all the attributes of God within me. I am a miracle worker. My happiness and my function are one. I better get about my Father's business. You would no longer pay it any mind, I like to say. You would not listen to that. You wouldn't take it seriously, give it any power over you. And you would practice. This is what the Course is about, is learning how to do that within this world of chaos and separation. In this lesson, he is accentuating that this is not your tiny solitary voice that tells you this. The ego trembles when you are reminded of this. That's where the imposter syndrome comes from. It's the ego's little trembly temper tantrum that you might stop listening to it. That's what fear is, an attribute of the ego, not of God. And as much as you identify with that fear, you'll feel it and believe it and identify with it. So we're learning how to detach from that small, tiny, solitary voice that's telling you you are not who you actually are. Who's telling you that love created you like itself? The voice for God, reminding you of your Father, your Creator, and of yourself, who you are as He created you. This is the voice of truth, replacing everything that measly little ego would say. It says this is the simple truth. When we remember who we are, we remember why we're here, and then we can be happy and find inner peace. We remember our identity, and then we can pick up our function and get about our function and be happy and be peaceful and be participants in working miracles in the world. The simple truth of God, the simple truth of the simple truth about the Son of God, it says, you were created by love like itself. You are love because God is love. Only love is real. Only all love is all that there is. Nothing real can be threatened. Love can't be threatened. So if God created you like it Himself, you are love. You can't be threatened. That is the reality and the real identity of who you are. And you're here to extend that in the world. I'm going to go into my She-Ra analogy again, because you are not that tiny, solitary, separated, limited self, disempowered self that the ego's voice would tell you. The ego does not want you to know who you really are, because it's just like in all of the fairy tales, all of in the superheroes, but you're an Avenger, Scarlet Witch. You are an Avenger, and you are here. Your superpower is miracle working. You are here to express love. That is what working miracles is, expressing love into the world, creating, co-creating with God. You could not have a more powerful function. You are so powerful. You are She-Ra. You are He-Man. You are an Avenger. Your superpower is to unleash that love upon a loveless world. Pick up the sword of truth, claim it, and go about your Father's business.